us about your approach to dealing with small businesses and what are some of the kind of findings coming out of these myriad challenges from the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots to learn from the pandemic. One of the things which has really stood out for me during the pandemic has been the importance of adaptability. Some businesses have been really effectively adapting and responding to the challenges of coronavirus, which is really, really cool to see. Newer, younger businesses seem to be a lot more resilient than the sort of traditional bricks and mortar businesses, and as a result, doing a lot better than most. All of these sort of lean online businesses are doing really well. For example, at Bromleigh, a lot of our clients we're seeing come back to increase their facilities to expand and make the most of these extraordinary times. They're adapting and changing to the changing habits and the rules faster than most traditional businesses. So it's a real mixed bag, I think.
Olivia, quite obviously, you're a young woman in what is typically a male-dominated part of business. How do you find that impacts the way that I guess you think about business decisions? Because we always talk about representation actually means that better and more diverse strategic decisions are being made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think obviously female funding gap is always something that I've been interested in, but I think my passion for it really grew when we started operating at Bromleigh, because that's sort of where I saw the discrepancy firsthand. It became quite apparent early on that female founders were just not putting themselves out there when it came to debt financing. We had dozens of cases where females would just, complete 90% of the loan application process, then just sort of drop off the radar. So that's when we founded the Bromleigh's Female Founders Program to try and support them further and get them over the line. But that's sort of, I guess, when my interest in the funding gap really flared. And, doing further research into the matter, it's a really significant issue in Australia, which I think really does need addressing. So it's a complex matter, but definitely ways to improve, for sure.
Olivia, taking a bigger picture view, given that Australia's economy is in recession, are you experiencing any issues with loan repayments? Moody's pointing to borrower stress going to push higher.
Yeah, I've been quite surprised when the pandemic hit. I was sort of bracing myself, I guess. But because quite a large majority of our portfolio is these e-commerce businesses, which are, as I said, very sort of lean, online focused, our portfolio has been remarkably resilient. And we've been super lucky, and it's been really nice to see, and very proud of our clients who've been able to adapt and change to the needs and demands of the pandemic. But as I say, that's just one sector of the huge economy, these sort of e-commerce online sector. There are so many other sectors which loan repayments is a real struggle for, hospitality, for example. So I think it really differs depending on which sector you're talking about, and we primarily work with e-commerce businesses. So we've been seeing amazing results in that sector.
And how are the businesses that you're engaging with dealing with shifts in consumer behavior? Younger Australians are adopting more of a buy now, pay later kind of attitude. What's the sentiment you're seeing towards banks in the wake of the Royal Commission? Today, CBA and NAB are to attend a parliamentary hearing.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of something which back when Bromleigh sort of first started, that was the Royal Commission sort of kickstarted Bromleigh, I guess, because these large Australian banks sort of really reduced their small business lending. So it definitely has disrupted the market for sure. And that's really seen the emergence of lots of these unethical online lenders, credit providers. And that's sort of where, that was the gap in the market, I guess, that I identified as a result of the back of that, Royal Commission.
Olivia, something like only 27% of fintech startups are founded by women. What are you doing? What do you think broadly needs to be done, perhaps even from a policy point of view, to reduce that gap?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really complex issue to solve, and some of the statistics are really scary. For example, like the amount of female-led companies in Australia is like 34%, and this figure over the last 20 years has increased by only 3%. So, some of the figures are quite alarming, but I think, it's a complex issue, but one thing I've learned from my experience, I think it's important to sort of see the double side of it, two side of it. Like, you've got to ask the question, what are we investing into? You know, are we investing into a decent amount of female-run businesses, but also who is doing the investing? So, for example, in Australia, only 4 of the top 10 venture capital firms have female partners. So I think it's really important to sort of nurture this idea of females investing into females. So, you know, if we want to increase the amount of female-led businesses, I think it's really important that we sort of provide a nurturing, supportive network of businesswomen. And I think it's a part of the problem that's often overlooked.